Hello guys, this is Quiver Nickel from Lobster Games, and today I will show you how to make a GUI for your tool system. In this tool GUI we have the ability to equipped, unequipped, to change tool, and right now I'm picking up all the tools, switching between them, using them. This is the storage. I can replace them with the one in the inventory, in the storage. So there's the ability to switch as well, with the ability to empty your hotbar and replace it with those, and to keep tools after you die, so those tools will be kept. Yay! So guys, let's start. Also this works for both mobile and PC, so don't worry about it. Number 1, GUI overview. So let's start with an overview of what we got in the GUI, in the starter GUI. So first of all, we have 3 remote events, one script on the server script servers and one script in the tools GUI on the server, and another local script. Under the local script there is a button we copy and a hotbar for the tools to use, and inventory to store all of the thing we need. So inside the tool GUI we ignore the GUI insert, so everything we do in studio it's gonna be in the game as well, the same. So now about the bottom size and the frame size. This is the size of the bottom. In the hotbar frame I do the transparency to 1 and put the position here and the size this. Inside of the hotbar, the UI list layout will order the buttons. I space them 10 frames each, no matter between PC and mobile, and I choose the field direction horizontal and the horizontal alignment to be in the center, and the back button, it's the same size of the regular button. I also put it layouts order to be really high, so it's always on the right of every other button. Do it very low if you want the opposite to be always on the left. And the texture, I will link it in the comment. I drew it myself actually. So now the inventory one, the one you storage, the tool you don't use right now, so we'll make it visible. Usually it's supposed to start off, but it's just for demonstration. So this is the position I gave it and the size which I gave it. The UI corner and the UI stroke are not needed, just to make things look good. The scrolling frame is the important one. We are gonna overview it now. So this is the position. This is the size, and there is the UI grid layout and UI padding. UI grid layout will sort out the buttons and UI padding will help space it out. So this is the setting I use to space the buttons out, and in UI grid layout I space them out 7 frames against each other, and the cell size you can play with it, 5. The field direction need to be horizontal, and the sort layer order if it's not already on it. So I also wanted to show you guys that this works both on PC and mobile. We are currently on a PC, and this is how in a Redmi 9 it's gonna look like. So now when we finish the GUI overview, it's time for the code. Disabling Roblox default GUI backpack. So first of all we are going to enter the local script and write this line of code. So game get service started GUI set code GUI enable, and we're gonna get the backpack and we're gonna set it for false. This will disable the Roblox default GUI. So let's start with the services. We have first user input service, we have the player service, and we got the replicated storage service. After this we get the player and backpack. This is the backpack of the normal backpack GUI. We disable this and we get also the humanoid. Those are the GUI values I showed you earlier. And then there is the custom backpack. How do we get this custom backpack? Creating custom backpack and equipping events. So we are going to enter the server script, and here every time a player joins the game, run only once, it's gonna create a folder and it's gonna put it on the player. The name of the folder is important, so I call it my backpack. You can call it whatever. At least it's not gonna be backpack, so it wouldn't be confusing. Alright, and now those are the events to equip and unequipped. I use them to unequipped and put back in the custom backpack, and to equipped and put it on the character manually. So this is basically what we need in the service script. Alright, so now it's time we learn how to create the buttons for the tools. So first thing is max slots in the hotbar. I put it on 3. You can just do whatever. It can be higher, it can be lower. So now I'm gonna show you the full process of creating the button. And first of all is, when do we create the buttons? So the first way is when the player equips the button. So it's when we add it onto the character. It's just the way normal tools work. You can do it with any tool almost. The second one is when it enters our backpack. Not all tools enter the character directly. And this one is for the start of the game. When we create buttons for tool we have already in an inventory from past gameplays, current past gameplays. So let's get to the function of create buttons. Here we will create the button. So first of all, when do we not run the function? If the player is dead, or if it has less than 0 or 0 lives, and if it's not a tool what was added to the backpack. That's when we don't run it. You can change it if you have models instead of tools. So here we are basically making sure no tool has 2 buttons, duplicates. Also you don't need to create an attribute, it automatically create an attribute when you do the set attribute. We get here the tool and a question if it's from the character. So the from character is just for aesthetical design to make the button stand out only in certain situations. Now I'm gonna show you guys where I put this. Every time we create on the character we're gonna add this is true. Alright, so now let's return to the creation process. We're going to clone the button. Personally I store it there under the script. And now we're going to change the button's text to the tool's name, obviously. And we are also going to store a new object value. It catches a tool, so we will every button will know its tool. The name tool is important because it doesn't even call the object value, it's just value. So changing it to tool or something, so it's pretty simple. Now we are going to set the button position in the hotbar or scroll frame and where exactly. The first couple of lines are in order to we find out if there is already a button, like from earlier and the player died and respawned, and doesn't need to have the attribute once again. It checked even as any. And now we're going to change the layer order one at a time. Upper, it's gonna help out to order it. We set the attribute, now we create it, and we set it on the button as well, both on the tool and the button, in case it needs to be cloned tool when the player dies, if he equipped it. Now it's the time to check if it needs to go into the hotbar or the scrolling frame, basically inventory. Also, max hotbar slots is whatever you want it to be. So this was the order by layout position. And now for the second groups, this is in case you already have tools after you die and you keep the tools. The mathematics is basically making the layout order position diest like it used to be before you died, because the script all the time reset every time you respawn. Now we go a bit down and we make the buttons gray, basically make all the buttons in the hotbar or the scrolling frame gray. So now everything we've been through, this is the process of the creating the button. Now we make the button functional and we equipped tools. So each time the button is going to be pressed, we are going to run this function and make all the buttons gray again, and gonna check if the inventory is on. If it's off, it's time to equip or unequip the tool. We're gonna check if there is a tool on the character, and if yes, we are going to unequip it. Now we make sure it's not the button who is already on the character, and if yes, just unequip everything. If no, let's go. 6. Opening and closing the inventory. So we are going to go down till the button to open the inventory. So the back button is basically this button, and every time we click it, it makes it invisible or not visible, depending on what it is now. And we check if there is an equip tool, and then we are going to unequip it and make everything gray. This is basically it. Yay! Number 7, dragging and switching buttons. Here we are going to need to create 2 new values, one from the dragged button and one from the old parent, in case there was a problem. So we are going to get down till the button activation script, and if the inventory is visible, we are going to run this function. First we make sure if there is already a dragged button, and then we don't continue to not mess things up. Now we are going to set the old parent variable to this button current parent, and we're gonna set the dragged button to be this button and put the index really high to be above everything else. Gonna put the parent in the tools GUI. The tools GUI is basically the screen GUI, and while there is a drag button, we do this. We get the mouse from the user input service. Just to remind you what's the user input service, how we get it. It also works for mobile, so don't worry about that. Now we return to the function. We are going to, basically this is just math of finding the position of the mouse. Also, don't forget to put the task.wait, because it's a while true, so it wouldn't make any problems. Now we're going to go down to when we drop the button. So once again, user input service, input ended, we get the input, and from here, every time we stop touching left key or the finger, here we check if there is a drag button. If not, we just nothing. And now we're going to put the drag button dot parent in the all parent, just in case there was a problem. We return it to its home, and we are going to get the mouse position in the screen. And below it, we are going to find every GUI object under it. Text, buttons, frames, everything. Now, just for a quick example, if we hover our mouse right now, it won't get anything, but if you put it over here, it gets the inventory and scrolling frame. It will get scrolling frame before inventory. So now we check all of the GUI we find, and first of all, if it's the button itself, we skip it. It will find the button itself the first. So now if it's a text button, we check if its parents it's a hotbar or scrolling frame. We don't want it to do glitches and choose every button text in the whole screen, of course. Now we also return the bottom's index to be its in original position. We're going to switch the parents of both buttons, and later we're going to switch the layer order to make it everything more fine, and then we set the layer order on the tools. Once again, the tool parameters is about the object value we created. And then we break the function to not run anymore and find more GUI. Like those two, where we just put it in the scrolling frame or the hotbar. So now we are going to parent the button's GUI to the scrolling frame and change its layer order to be one above always, to make the button always be the last button in the inventory. Now we are also going to set the attribute of the tool to be the new attribute. So when the player responds, the button will know where it's supposed to be in its new position. Now if you want to put it on the hotbar, it detects the hotbar, and now it's the hotbar number. We check if there is a space in the hotbar. Those two are basically two GUI objects we have inside of the hotbar, which are UI list and button bug to open and close the inventory. Now we're going to parent the button to the hotbar and change the layout order to be -2 of earlier, and +1 to be always the top one. And now once again we set the tools attribute of layout order, and then we set a drag button to nil to help us get this whole function of dragging back again. And a new cycle begins. Number 8. Keeping the equipped tool after respawn. When a player dies in Roblox, his tools usually breaks, so we are going to do a work around it and keep the tool. For this we will need an event. RS is remind you replicated storage, and here we also get the humanoid. So now we check when the character dies, and we basically check if there is a tool, equipped tool, and if there is, we fire this event to the server together with the equipped tool layout order. The script that will receive it is the server script that runs every respawn. So this is basically for the starter pack and making sure everything inside the starter pack will get into our custom backpack. So here we are going to get the event and get the layout position. And here on the server, when the player dies, we're gonna check again if he has a tool equipped, and if yes, we're gonna clone this tool right before it destroys, and then we get the attribute, and when we put the parent on the backpack. Now we return to the backpack function in the local script, and now it actually has an attribute of this. So now this comparison is simply when we add all the tools back after we respawn, and later down the line when we add new tools, it's already gonna know where to put the new tools in. Number 9. What do you need to change if you don't want to keep an inventory and your tools after you respawn or died? So if you don't want to keep inventory, you don't need those events. you can delete them. You can delete this script. This script you still need, but only those lines for the starter GUI. So now we return to the local script and search wherever there is an equipped or unequipped tool, and we are going to write instead humanoid colon unequipped tools, and we also don't need the rest. And if you want to equip the tools, we will do humanoid colon equip tools, and we will get the tool. Once again, we don't need much of the rest. Also, one thing I want to add, if you put a morph from the toolbox, you will need to script it to work with the system. It doesn't work automatically. So I hope you guys learned something and you succeeded in making your tools GUI system. Now I'm gonna show on the screen the entire script, and bye!